Okay, it took me the whole day to research this because I just didn't want to be wrong. I mean, there might still be some misinformation or some things that I missed out, but just know I tried my best with this one. Okay, another day, another cultural appropriation situation. On September 20th, so yesterday, it was announced that Blackpink will be collaborating with PUBG, and PUBG is a online multiplayer battle royale game. What sparked a lot of heat was Rosé's digital poster. Fans are pointing out that the head ornament that Rosé is wearing is disrespectful, calling Rosé out for cultural appropriation. There are also fans defending Rosé, saying that this poster was released a while back and the issue was resolved back then from a thread that was created by a person on Twitter. However, while these posters look like they come from How You Like That era, which they are definitely from, these exact poses were not released during that time online. But they can be found in the How You Like That photo book release. Hi, I'm Kori. Remember to like and subscribe. It took me the whole day to do this, so please like it. Please subscribe. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. Now, this is what fans are upset about. Rosé's head ornament very closely resembles a Maang tikka, which holds a lot of symbolism, a lot of history, and a lot of meaning to the Indian culture, especially for Hinduism. There are different types of tikkas all over India and also Pakistan, and also just the different types of countries around India as well that are desi. Just so I can, I should just put that in. They need to be desi. You can get traditional tikkas, which are for brides only, or you can get modern tikkas, which are for non-brides who wear them with traditional desi clothing. There are many threads by desis themselves educating fans as to why this is indeed cultural appropriation. However, the one that really ticked me off a little bit, it was made by a non-desi and it blew up recently, and fans are using that thread to prove that this situation is not cultural appropriation. First of all, I just want to say that this thread contains so much misinformation, and I'll go through it myself so you can understand what statements are wrong. So let's start. It begins with an explanation on why Rosé from Blackpink didn't commit any Maang tikka cultural appropriation. A thread. So Rosé was accused of cultural appropriation in recent How You Like That photo book release. She was accused of wearing a Maang tikka, which holds importance in Indian culture. Here is the picture. I'll prove how this is not a Maang tikka, but a Bohemian headpiece. First of all, I just want to say that last statement is completely wrong. Bohemian style and fashion is very heavily influenced by Indian culture. There are so many articles about this. I don't even know why this girl did not know about this in the beginning. But like this one article says, the Indian culture has had a significant influence on the development of what we now all recognize as Bohemian. So do you guys understand that? Hopefully this girl does. If she watches this video. Someone send this video to her. So this whole article talks about how many cultures have influenced Bohemian fashion, Bohemian style, especially the Indian culture. Now, if you don't understand why this is wrong, then you really need to educate yourself. I really don't mean that in a mean way. Like, just educate yourself so you're not ignorant about these things. Okay, so next up she goes, here is an example of Maang tikka. Maang tikka either consists of only one line type jewelry or it's both sided, like these two shown in the pic. So honestly, she could have just said it goes in the center of your forehead, or that it goes around your forehead instead of saying one line type jewelry. But these are all different types of Maang tikka, by the way. The tikkas that she has shown here are traditional Maang tikkas. There are so many different types, so many different designs that come out every day. I'll just show you some. I'll show you some modern day tikkas, and I'll show you some traditional Maang tikkas as well. But then she says, the one that Rose is wearing is three-sided. Remember how she said one-sided, two-sided? She says this one is three-sided. But I think I've already showed you enough evidence to say that her claim for Bohemian headpiece is false. And after all the evidence I've showed you, would you still silence desis like you've been doing this whole time? Okay, and then next she says, you will notice Maang tikka is filled with gems type things, while the one Rose is wearing consists of thorns. I mean, that doesn't really matter. You can still say that Rose's head ornament was inspired by a Maang tikka. It's not really that hard to accept. And then she gives out examples of Bohemian headpieces, guys. As you saw before, I showed you some modern day simple Maang tikkas that look exactly like this. And then she says, and even if it was a Maang tikka, then it wouldn't be considered as cultural appropriation. Maang tikka is used by outsiders as well. And it can be worn at music festivals, concerts, parties, proms, and formal outfits. The reason that, like you said, outsiders use it is because the item has been brought over to the West to use of as a fashion accessory. I think with her statement, she's just trying to defend Rose by saying that even if it was what you think it is, it's not cultural appropriation because it's from your country. Now, some fans have been calling the head ornament a medieval headpiece or a Christian headpiece. So I had to look at that too. I had to do some research about that too. First, I had a look at the history of Indian jewelry because I'm obviously not a historian. So have a look at this. One of the first to start jewelry making were the people of Indus Valley civilization. This is in India, like the Indian subcontinent. By 1500 BC, the people of Indus Valley were creating gold earrings, necklaces, bead necklaces, and metal bangles. Then it goes on to say that beads were very, very hot. They were a very hot trade back then. Then it says, each stone has its own characteristics related to Hinduism. And the final most important part of this, it says, other pieces that women frequently wore were thin bands of gold that would be worn on the forehead. Right? Okay. Then I did some research on the medieval headpiece. While there wasn't anyone providing evidence on Twitter, like by what they meant by medieval headpiece, there was one post that I had to look into. This person says, I'm seeing a lot of people saying that it's not cultural appropriation because it's just a medieval headpiece. But honestly, it isn't. It literally looks like a Maang tikka. If you look at what she's wearing, there's a chain down the middle of her hair, just like all tikkas have, while medieval headpieces don't. So I had to search up this piece of jewelry, and it's called a ferroniere. A ferroniere is a style of headband that encircles the wearer's forehead, usually with a small jewel suspended in the center. Worn in the late 15th century, Italy. And it also says that in the 19th century, it was for both day and formal and evening wear. Yeah. Then I had to look at if Italy and India were connected in any way in the past. Because then, you know, if it kind of looks like a Maang tikka, they could have had some kind of history in the past. So they did. Basically, there were Indo-Roman trade relations. So that started in the following article that I'll show you. So here, the Indo-Roman trade started in the 1st century BCE, and it truly matured in the 1st and 2nd centuries CE. Meaning that a lot of things happened between the Roman Empire and India, the Indian subcontinent, during that time. Okay, let me continue. During the Indo-Roman trades, it is inevitable that culture will be exchanged, right? So, have a look at this. The Roman subcontinental trade also saw several cultural exchanges, which had a lasting effect on both the cultures and others involved in the trade. The Indian presence in Alexandria may have influenced the culture, but little is known about the manner of this influence. So, did you hear that? The Indian presence may have influenced the culture. Then it goes on to say, Clement of Alexandria mentions Buddha in his writings, and other Indian religions, most likely Hinduism, find mentions in other texts of the period. Yes? Are we understanding? We are? Okay, let's continue. Okay, so basically that doesn't prove anything, right? But you guys can accept that culture was exchanged during that time, meaning that a lot of things would have happened, just like trading of special stones and precious materials, right? So you know the gems in the Maang tikka, or the gems, or precious materials meaning gold, silver, bronze, all that kind of stuff. Have a look at this. Additionally, an extensive network of imports provided access to exotic materials, semi-precious and precious stones that could travel for months along the ancient Silk Road of Persia, India, and the Far East. While trading, that's not far off to say that they could have been inspired by what they saw in India as well. Hence the Pharaonia. They would have at least come across Hinduism, like it said before, where many of the female gods are seen wearing a tikka in the past paintings. Have you seen those? So, as you can see, basically all of this goes back to India or Pakistan or any desi country basically. So please don't dismiss the claims of desi K-pop stans. They understand what offends them, and you have no right to call their feelings out. They're allowed to be offended. They're allowed to feel disrespected. They're allowed to call out their idols, and you have no right to defend your idols when something like this happens. You're not part of the culture. You don't know what's right and wrong. You just need to educate yourself. That's all you need to do. And that's not an offensive thing. That's not something that you should be offended by. When someone says, please educate yourself on this, that means they want you to not be ignorant of things around you in the world. Yeah. I hope I gave a valid argument against this. I am desi myself, so I understand this. This is why I decided to talk about this. What do you guys think about this? Obviously, I have a feeling that I'm going to be triggering a lot of fans by this. So, yeah, just respect my feelings as well. Respect the people that comment. And thank you for listening. I'm Kori, and that's catching up with important issues in K-pop. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!